This is how we ride. This is how we do.
That makes me think, you know, of the whole Rick Eshelman situation, which was crazy, and to be you in that position would have had to be pretty insane, pretty crazy. You know, last year was kind of crazy with men's mental health. There was like almost a surge about it, and then there was a lot of guys in the world, both, you know, private entities and public figures that were ending their own life. Not just Rick Eshelman. It was very weird to see that happen last year. There was like a men's mental awareness for 6 months going on. How did that happen for you, and how did that whole thing go down? That had to be insane being in your seat, you know.
Yeah, it was tough for sure. I mean, you know, Rick was a great dude. We got to share a lot of, you know, he had been around and knew a lot of the open wheel stuff. He actually announced the Mopar Million there at Eldora when we were there. So, I mean, he had a pretty good idea of the background and a lot of the history on that side as well. So, we talked about a lot of things, not just late models. You know, we talked a lot about open wheel stuff, and he was just, man, he was such a good guy. Something that I don't think any of us ever even remotely saw coming. But you know, those few days when we were, you know, everyone was trying really hard to kind of figure out what's going on, where he's at, and all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, it was tough. I mean, because obviously the longer it goes, the more worried you get. And man, I can remember calling and texting and even sending him messages on Facebook and Twitter, just saying, "Hey, bud, are you okay?" You know, everyone's worried. And yeah, it was just not a good deal. I mean, it definitely affected, you know, all of our team. I mean, we were all really, really close, and always gave each other a really hard time and everything. And Rick fired him back just as good as we were fired into him. But we all really got along well, and it was just tough for everybody there involved.
Did that possibly or get you or anyone to look into the whole? It seems like there is a stigmatism, I guess, and that's what the whole men's mental health awareness deal kind of felt like. Was like, when something's wrong with us men, we're not supposed to say anything, you know, or something's going on. We don't do anything, you know. And crazy enough, I was watching a Rocky marathon that came on last night. I just couldn't stop watching them, and there were some moments in there. And I look at movies completely different. I look at them more powerful than I used to, and what their messages actually are. And in all the movies, it seemed like there was a point where, you know, he gets knocked out early when no one's in his corner. If Mick's hurt or something like that, or in Creed 2, Stallone wasn't there in his corner. He gets knocked out. It's like he doesn't have anyone to go to or you know, have in his corner. And I think a lot of guys don't have that with their emotions. You know, they don't have somebody in their corner to actually talk, especially if they lose like a father figure, or if their relationship with their son isn't great. I think it's interesting how that story was telling, though, because it was pretty much, you know, and I think Rocky even says it. He's like, you know, nothing's going to hit as hard as life, you know, and the stigmatism and in there, I think the message kind of is like, personally, you got to be able to just like deal with it, take the punches. Even when he was losing some of those fights, I was like, man, that pain right there, I could kind of feel it. You know, you kind of feel the same pains when you're losing a fight or something. If you've ever been in a fight, you know, you're getting hit and the guy's more powerful, and the doubts cross the mind, and you just don't think you could get out of it. You know, it's very similar in a fight versus life situations, emotional situations. The feeling's all the same, you know, but I just, I think the stigmatism of guys not being able to say how they feel is pretty big. I was just curious if you've looked into it, because I thought about it. I didn't do a video on it. I didn't talk about it. I tried to, you know, ask people what may have happened, but I didn't do no kind of hit piece or no reporting or no thoughts on it. This is kind of my first time ever really talking about it, because I think it's a weird thing that some people can't stop. You know, I don't know. You know, is God know everything that's going to happen? And if so, then everything that does happen was supposed to happen. I mean, how do you look at things, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely made me more aware of just trying to, you know, maybe just check in with people, you know, just, you know, ask them, hey, you doing all right? Everything good? I mean, you know, give them an opportunity to maybe say, no, I'm not okay. Because you're right. I mean, guys they're supposed to be macho and they're not supposed to have feelings, and you're not supposed to be emotional or whatever. But I mean, I think we all know that's BS. But I mean, it's just made me at least more aware of trying to watch out for people and check in on them, and if they do need to talk, at least let them know that there's an opportunity there, and try and give everyone an opportunity to or make them feel comfortable enough to want to talk. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean,
how do you get to that point though? We're raised, a certain way. We just are, especially here in America,
Yep. Oh, it's tough, and hopefully situations like this. I mean, hopefully a situation like this will at least, like I said, raise everybody's awareness a little bit, and have everybody kind of checking in on their friends, and realize that it can be a problem. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, like I said, I never once would have thought or saw anything like this coming out of Rick. He seemed really happy no matter what was going on at the racetrack. I mean, we could have a horrible night, things didn't go well, and he'd come in and he'd crack a joke or something and try and lighten the mood and get everyone kind of back where they need to be, and we'd move on to the next race. So just because someone seems like they're okay doesn't necessarily mean they're okay. So if just check in on people, ask if they're good. Give them an opportunity to say no, I'm not. I need to talk. So.
Yeah, when the fear gets to a point that you become afraid to do something, I think that's where the battle is technically at. Is the fear of telling somebody something's wrong or this or that or the level. I mean, look. I mean, some people are so scared of the world that they're afraid to live. I mean, look at what happened during the pandemic era. People were so scared that they may end their lives that they were fearful of living. Or just by an invisible disease, and at the end of the day, mortality is real. No, not me, you, anyone watching this is gonna live forever. So there's a lot of things. I think us as guys too, we've been raised in such a survival-based lifestyle. It's something that we're just like, I think, not worried about listening to, and if there is something wrong, just ignore it. You gotta be that macho guy. You gotta continue to survive. It's kind of what we've always done.
Yeah, well, especially in the sport and the area that we're in, I think that's probably just magnified. I mean, it's guys in general. Yeah, you're not supposed to be that way, but then racers and in the area that we're in, it probably just is magnified quite a bit. And just gotta check in on your friends and at least give them an opportunity to tell you that they're not okay. I mean, let them know. If you need to talk, let me know. I'm here. Right.
Well, and I think sometimes they may talk to the wrong person and they get the wrong response. Personal relationships are a big deal in that. If they're in a personal relationship that may have something negative going on, and and maybe they feel like they can't tell somebody else just because that's not just, them saying something's wrong. It's throwing someone else under the bus, and they don't want that guilt to even say something along those lines.
Yep, for sure.
Was there the worst thing that ever comes out of a situation like that is people trying to exploit for personal gain? How did the World of Outlaws handle that situation? Did they take care of it? Because I saw fundraisers out there for the guy. What was going on there?
I think there was probably a little bit of that. Without really, I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, we don't have to go into it that deep. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think there was probably some people out there trying to maybe look to benefit a little bit. But I will say, everyone involved with World Racing Group, Brian Carter, from there on down, really, I think they went about it the right way. I mean, I know Brian took care of a lot of things, a lot of arrangements and stuff like that for Rick and for Melissa, and he took care of all the stuff there for the Celebration of Life in Charlotte, and he really took on a lot of the burden that I don't know really who would it have fell on, but whoever it was, any of the loved ones, he definitely took on some burden and tried to take care of and and do things the right way and honor Rick. So, you know, I know, you know, we had some stickers that we were giving out just to put on cars, and yeah, a lot of people went about it on their own. I mean, you know, I know Gundaker's had a really cool, you know, salute to him. A lot of people had some really neat looking wraps and things added to their cars and stuff. But you know, as far as the World Racing Group, I mean, Brian went above and beyond and probably did more than what was ever expected to make sure that things were taken care of the right way for Rick.
Okay, so basically, you know, y'all covered what you went above and beyond, you're saying, in handling that situation. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, you know, from you know, multiple you know, arrangements as far as taking care of, you know, things almost from A to Z. You know, I think Brian was either involved in or just directly took care of himself. So he definitely did a lot of things to make sure we got things taken care of, and that Rick was honored, you know, the way that he deserved.
This is how we ride. This is how we do.